Listen, anytime, any place, anywhere, I'll fight you in your back garden. Like a dumb Klitschko, I'll beat you, you bum. You're a bum.
I want to unify. Is he up for the challenge? Like I said, I declare war. You know, this is not a battle, this is war because I was born.
Why am I sitting in like a spare dick away? While you are sitting in your mum's spare rooms, just tickling your bollocks.
Come see me, baby. No more hiding, no more ducking, no more dodging, no more excuses. Let's make the fight happen. Let's see who's the best. I know I'm the best. Are you up for the test?
I'm through. Hey, put somebody else up and give me an interview. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
Negative. I'm good. I beat Paulie. I left with his belt and his girl.
Fucking was too fast. But it wasn't so much about it, was just that he was so fucking fast. Fast.
Amazingly fast.
Fucking amazingly fast. I was like, I thought Freddie was in there fucking hitting me too. So
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show, live on YouTube, obviously podcast form, iTunes, Spotify, radio, etc. I am Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Going to be talking all things boxing, going to be breaking down the fights this weekend. Even though there aren't any real major ones, there are some fights of note that we have to address and talk about and break down. Plus, obviously, a litany of news topics to get to. The Olympics is keeping boxing within the 2020 games, but it's a little twist that we're going to get to that could lead to a, hopefully not, but it could lead to a worst case scenario when it comes to the organization of the event. Plus, we're going to double back and talk about the PBC sale by WME, William Morris Endeavor, as there is a sort of another piece of news that's come out today about that has sort of solidified that rumor, so to speak, that we're going to delve into. I want Rob here to sort of bounce ideas off of. Plus, I think he probably has his own ideas about the sale that aren't mine. Plus, we have a ton of sort of fight announcements, fight rumors, the Bantamweight division, Inoue, Oubaali, Nery, all talking about each other. And I feel like we're about to see some really good fights in the division. It's just a lot to get to. Like I said, though, I'm joined today, as usual, as customary, by the Han Solo of MCR, the second cousin, twice removed, of Sir Eddie. Rob, how you doing, man?
Yeah, all good. Having a little fun in the chat already.
Yeah, you done triggering Zulu, man? Poor guy, man. Fuck.
It's all good. It's just banter. Great banter.
It really is.
But, yeah, I should get my soundboard loaded up. That's a good point.
What the fuck, man?
But yeah, Olympic boxing back in the frame. I'm glad to hear that, but it could be with its own kind of difficulties. But let's hope they can make this work. But yeah, we'll talk about it obviously. But yeah, a whole bunch of stuff. Let's not waste time on me rabbling, trying to think of something cool and funny or whatever to say on an intro. Let's just see what happens when we actually talk about topics.
That seems like a good idea, Rob. But we talked, or at least I talked a lot about the whole Olympic boxing situation yesterday on our Patreon-only show, Championship Rounds. Go check that out, patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. So we're going to talk about that topic a little bit later on the show, just because I've already talked about it sort of in depth on a other show that you can listen to. So let's talk about a topic that I know, Rob, we both aren't happy with. So we will instantly be united here. We're not going to debate probably, but let's talk about this Adam Kownacki, Chris Arreola fight, which is going to main event a PBC on Fox card for that Barclay August 3rd date, which was originally Spence Porter. What a fucking letdown that is. But obviously, Mike Coppers are coming with the news saying sources, a heavyweight scrap between Adam Kownacki and Chris Arreola will headline a August 3rd PBC on Fox triple header at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn with Marcus Brown against Jean Pascal in the co-main. Rob, I've, again, talked about this a little bit on yesterday's show, so I want to sort of give the floor to you first. Your thoughts about this Kownacki Arreola fight? Does it do anything for Kownacki? I know you don't care about it being on Fox because you're in the UK. That has no bearing to you. But do you think this deserves prime time, main event, free TV sort of exposure, especially when we were first told this was going to be Spence versus Porter in a unification? So your thoughts on all of that.
Well, first of all, it's a triple header, so I want to know what the other fight is so we can decide just which one of those trash fights is going to be number one on the night. But I don't know, maybe it's debatable, but it was supposed to be Kownacki versus Robert Helenius, so I don't know.
This is probably better, but we're splitting hairs.
Helenius is just how shot is Helenius compared to how shot Arreola is, right? But
and Arreola is probably a better name in the U.S. market, but again, splitting hairs at this point.
Well, yeah, for sure. But yeah, I mean, the main event, I guess you can't get good stuff all the time. As boxing fans, we should know that, especially when we've heard what a great undercard we're getting for Thurman Pacquiao. I think it's that's probably the best US pay-per-view undercard I've seen for
some time, yeah,
a long time. Which, by the way, I tweeted and Ugas liked it.
You probably have to go back. Oh, look at you! Yeah. Hold on, Ugas liked it. Ooh. Yeah. Hey, Fu, you're listening? You better watch out, man. Someone's coming for your mans. I think the last undercard you have to look at would probably be Mayweather Canelo, because you had Danny Garcia versus Lucas Matisse as the co-main, and those two fights alone at the time was fully worth the $75.
Yeah.
I would say this one doesn't have Thurman Pacquiao doesn't have probably a co-main that's equal to that, but it has really good depth. But digress from that.
Good names in sort of fairly decent fights. But
I assume Gary's going to call in and want to talk about that Omar Figueroa Ugas fight. I cannot wait to talk about that one with Gary. So, a lot to sort of take away from that card. You're right.
You can't wait for that? All right.
That should be fun.
Whatever floats your boat. But yeah, not a great headline for what was going to be a slot for a welterweight unification fight. But if they are potentially wanting pay-per-view, then someone's got to jump in and fill it. And I guess other names have either fought just recently or there's something further down the line. It's come a little bit too soon to get a real good fight on the cut. I mean, don't get me wrong, it might be a decent scrap, but it's just when I heard it, it was a bit. And look, if all reports are true, this is just a tick over. Potentially gimme fight for Kownacki going into what we believe to be a Wilder fight. So
it seems like it's a big commercial for Wilder's next opponent.
Yeah, I mean, we've got we'll talk about it later, but a better fight has potentially been made as part of an undercard in the heavyweight division. But we'll talk about that in a little while.
Right after this topic. Last thing I'll say is I said it again on the show yesterday, but I'll say it here. This would be a perfect main event for like an FS1 card. This would be a perfect co-main event to one of those big pay-per-views.
Or a showbox.
A Showtime, main event. not even a showbox. You can. I mean, honestly, you could. I wouldn't really scoff at it in any way. If they put this card on Showtime, put in that context, right? Like you have Marcus Brown on the card too, against Jean Pascal. Yeah, I think that's a good Showtime card. It makes sense.
Well, if you want to keep the tradition of Showtime's numbers being shit, then why not?
This would do better than the Gervonta Davis show. Because that card had nothing. The main event had only one guy of any name value. Arreola, again, like I said, has some name value in the U.S. market. He's been around, for God, since I've started watching the sport, I feel like. Arreola's been around as a heavyweight guy that's been talked about. He was the big baby Miller. He was the Adam Kownacki before those guys existed. He was the big tubby heavyweight, that everyone underrated, but threw a lot of volume, had decent power. So yeah, I think, again, this fight is only upsetting because it's on Fox. And Fox, to me, means something. Like, you should put meaningful fights, or at least a champion, on the fucking card. Think about that. There's not a single world champion that's been listed for this. That's the main event or co-main event. There's not a single champion among them at all. While even when we had like Leo Santa Cruz fight on Fox, in February, and fought a no-namer, at least it's still Leo fucking Santa Cruz who's a champion. You know what I mean? Like, at least we still get that there. There's nothing here. It's a step-up fight and a big, giant advertisement for Deontay Wilder's next opponent on Fox. Like, I don't understand it.
Step up fight?
Maybe not step up. That's probably the wrong way to put it.
Back?
Setup fight. That's probably a better way to frame it.
Yeah, step.
I don't think that it's necessarily a step back, because what's his best win? Gerald Washington?
Yeah. Would you... How would
Ariel
you
is far more accomplished. And then we get into debate of like how good is Ariel in 2019, but then how good has Gerald Washington ever been? Like, we rated him because he won 2 or 3 rounds against Wilder, who literally didn't punch in those rounds. Like, that's the entire reason we rate Washington. And then he got washed by Big Baby, got washed by Kownacki. Charles Martin put hands on fucking Kownacki. I think Ariel is not necessarily bad. He's a top 25-ish heavyweight. Kownacki's probably a top 20 heavyweight. It's not a step back as much as, let's say, the Luis Ortiz fight it either happened or was talked about. Did it happen already? That's because I forgot about it. Who did he fight?
Who?
Was it Hammer? He fought Hammer, right?
Last time
okay.
out?
Like,
Yeah,
that was a true step back, in my opinion.
Well, yeah. The boogeyman taking out the old guys.
Yeah, going from Washington to Charles Martin to Chris Arreola, like, that's all the same. Those are all shades of the same level of heavyweight, in my opinion.
Yeah, different levels of...
Yeah, to me, it's just a setup fight. Like, it's purely there to keep him busy, so he can stay warm, metaphorically, and fight a kind of name in the division. Fight on Fox, so he gets the exposure, and then they throw him in there with Wilder. Like I said before to you, I thought it would make perfect sense to put Wilder Ortiz as a Fox main event, push them on free TV, and have this as the co-main.
It would, but one day I'm going to show you that Wilder signed a 3-fight deal with Showtime. So
one of these days, boxing will make logical matchmaking sense. It's just not today.
Mm-hmm. No, but in the great words, it is what it is.
It is what it is. That's true. But haven't we heard that like Wilder Ortiz might be Fox pay-per-view? Haven't we heard that rumor? Like, wasn't there like somebody came out like
pay-per-view?
What was that?
Showtime pay-per-view.
I want to say there was somebody else that came out and said like it could be Fox pay-per-view too. Digressing, doesn't matter.
I want to say it, but you can't just imagine shit you've heard.
Well, look. Yes, I can.
All right.
Because I don't remember it. I'm fully admitting I don't remember this. I'm saying I think I remember it. But anyways, digressing. Let's get to that better probably heavyweight fight, in your opinion. Malik Scott sort of spilling the beans, right, Rob? Because I don't think this was official. Like, there's no press release out.
There was. I think it's all the bouts had tweeted that terms had been agreed.
Okay.
Nothing from the guru that is Michael Benson, but
and no offense to all the belts, but no one that I know is reputable. But we have Malik Scott at her saying so. George Royce Boxing only has 9 pro fights and is fighting one of the best heavyweights in the world, Bryant Jennings, in July, and it's not a main event. And he goes on to complain about fans. But then Sam Jones, obviously the manager of Joe Joyce, comes in and sort of co-signs this tweet, basically confirming that we're getting a Joe Joyce Bryant Jennings fight as not a co-main. I think it's in the undercard to the Dubois Gorman card, right? Rob, it's that card.
Yes.
I'm kind of shocked about this matchup in a way that I still want some confirmation about it. Not like I don't think that they're not negotiating, but fuck, Bryant Jennings just lost to Oscar Rivas in really devastating fashion, and as he can come in and face Joe Joyce, that just seems extremely risky if you're Bryant Jennings. And I don't know if that's just Top Rank cashing him out. It kind of seems that way. But damn, poor Brian Jennings sort of getting fed here, to be honest.
I think it's a really good fight.
It's a good fight, but I don't see Brian Jennings win this fight coming off that loss. You know what I mean?
I mean, he was stopped late on. It was a real good fight. He was stopped late in the 12th. I think Ortiz is the only other guy to stop Jennings. So I think it's a real good fight. I like it. But yeah, we'll wait and see if it's definitely official. But Jennings put his own little post with the date and the O2 Arena, and he's training. So he said it's happening. So yeah, I like it. I think it's a good fight and a real test for Joe Joyce.
Yo, that tweet's funny, Rob. I know. I'm not gonna repeat it on the air because look, this piece of shit doesn't deserve any airtime. Like his name is not worth any mention. That's how
not even casually dropping it.
No. Because he's that much of a piece of shit. You know, he's the type of guy who would take a swing on you in a Dunkin' Donuts because you're editing video. Like that's the type of scumbag he is. I'm not saying I know that from firsthand knowledge because he swung at me. I'm just saying I have firsthand knowledge because he swung at me. So no, that piece of shit can stay tweeting at us, and we're living rent free in his head. That's funny though. That was good. But digressing. Let's get to this Olympic topic. Boxing the Olympics 2020 is still happening, ladies and gentlemen. Per the IOC, per the Olympics, everyone is saying it's happening. How it's going to get there is not completely spelled out. They do say they're going to create a task force to create a new federation to determine the sort of trials and quarterfinals and all that to get into the Olympics. The IOC has kicked out the AIBA from sort of recognition within the IOC. So shout out to the IOC finally doing something good and kicking out a corrupt criminal body that has a laundry list of economic sanctions put against the president, drug-related trafficking crimes, just a gambit of just awful shit that somehow these criminals became in large control of men and women, boys and girls, boxing in the amateurs. I am extremely glad they are out. I am also, and before I say this, I want to make this completely like the foundation of my point. This is a giant, great step in the right direction for amateur boxing. However, the IOC is also a corrupt body with some nefarious accusations and allegations against them.
Well, you're going to have to tell me what that means.
Nefarious?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, go on. I don't know what that is.
Like malicious, evil.
All right. Okay.
Bad, not good. Yo, that killed me right there. Oh my god. Think of like never mind. We don't need to go into it. You understand. And do I trust the IOC to have a completely transparent process to create a task force? Who's in that task force? What are their conflicts of interest? And then to create a new federation to determine this process to have amateur boxing in the Olympics on less than a year's notice. Rob, the first sort of tournaments to determine, like the first, like what was it, trials? I always forget the term they use.
Qualifiers.
Qualifiers. Thank you. Fuck, I'm forgetting that word, man. Shut up. Get the fuck out of here. I think the first qualifiers are in March, right, of 2020.
Yeah, and then the tournament's going to be like what? When's the Olympics? July, June?
Yeah, and I think the last qualifiers are in April or June. I forget exactly, but basically they have 10 months to figure this shit out. I am concerned here, and for a lot of, again, men and women, boys and girls, there are kids that are in this process too. They're going to be at the whim of a complete clusterfuck, and I worry about that, at least for the short term. In the long term, getting the AIBA the fuck out of boxing is one of the best things that this sport has done, probably my lifetime. You can make that argument. I think the Muhammad Ali Act was in the 90s, like late 90s, so technically that was in my lifetime. But in my time of being a hardcore fan of the sport, being media, this is the greatest piece of progress the sport has ever seen. But we're still dealing with a lot when it comes to amateur boxing that needs to be fixed. Rob, I know I ranted there for a bit. IOC kicking out the AIBA, amateur boxing, the Olympics completely changing within 10 months. Your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I mean, great to know it's going to be there. It's just, let's see what kind of state it's in when we get there. And obviously, once it's there, we want to see, because you can watch as many amateur fights as you want. Depending where that tournament is held, you can quite often, get some real bad decisions. And people appeal it, the appeals are turned down, and it's like, move on, and it's like brushed under the. But everyone within the sport knows, like, that was a home decision. That was that fighter decision. Amateur boxing for a long time has been like really in the dark ages and sort of ran how it's wanted to, and the guys they want to win kind of win it. But I'm excited because I know Team GB have got a lot of talent in there right now. I think, like with Joshua, with certain big names going on and doing well. The interest in boxing's there, and our youngsters, our amateurs are really. There's some real great names in there. Peter McGrail, the McCormack brothers, just so many. So part of me thought, all right, so if there's going to be no boxing in Tokyo, let's see these guys turn over. It's time. Let's see them. And I was all excited for that kind of anyway. But obviously, it would have been a massive shame to not have boxing in the Olympics because it's got such a steep,
and on top of that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Apologies. But like the Olympics is a huge leverage point for amateur boxers to turn pros, like for contracts, for signing bonuses. Like if you medal or just if you're in the Olympics, your value instantly goes up. To not have that there would have instantly devalued this entire sort of freshman class of boxing pros, because that is a leveraging tool for these amateur boxers to get pro contracts.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. Especially gold ones. I mean, if you're bronze, you probably have to get like 40 fights under your belt before.
Oh my God.
I couldn't do a straight.
No, chill, man. Zulu is gonna be so triggered in the chat right now, man. Poor Zulu, man. I'm sorry. It's not me this time. It's him.
No, I'm sorry. I couldn't get through it. I was already thinking it. No, but you're right.
I knew instantly when you said bronze medal, you were going there. I knew instantly when you said that.
No, but all jokes aside, obviously medaling. You hear it like, as I don't know, ESPN fighter, silver medalist at the Olympics or bronze medalist or whatever. So I believe ESPN are just signing or in the process of signing a very talented. I forget the name now.
It's God. Well, it's a weird first name. I apologize for saying weird, but it's just not a first name I've ever seen before. He's a Cuban boxer that beat Shakur Stevenson, I believe.
That's right. Yeah. He won his name. Because but so these guys will get a little bit more push. Look at like the Buatsis and things like that. is the chat going? I'm sorry,
Zulu. I'm gutted.
No, my bad. It was just too much of an opportunity to turn down.
It's great banter.
It really is. But yeah, no, like I say, although my Team GB guys aren't going to be turning over straight away, but obviously let's hope these guys go over and win medals and come back and turn pro with that. Like you say, you get that cachet of being like an Olympic medalist or finalist or whatever like that. Even Olympian. That's not even if you're an Olympian, it's got some kind of a little bit more behind you than a guy that's been doing the whole circuit and really slaving away and really trying to make his way in the sport, and then finally thinks I'm just going to turn pro, and then it's a long road. So yeah, glad it's there, but hopefully they can do this right because this is, qualifying and then pretty much straight into the Olympics. So, it's not maybe ideal preparation time, but then maybe also you might find the guys that qualify in great form, they continue that great form into the tournament. So time-wise, it might be good, it might be bad. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes, but I just need to get my soundboard open.
Wait, you still haven't yet?
No, I keep clicking it back off. But yeah, really pleased it's going to be there, because the Olympics wouldn't be the Olympics without. Imagine if Spence hadn't boxed in front of 600 million people or whatever it was after the NBA All-Star.
6 million.
Whatever it was.
And it wasn't the All-Stars, it was the Olympic basketball game.
The Dream Team, yeah.
Well, I don't think it's technically the Dream Team, because the Dream Team was the 90s era.
It's always the Dream Team, right? American.
Is it just always called the Dream Team?
I'm just saying that surely the American basketball team are the Dream Team, whatever year it is.
Yeah, but I mean, classified as the Dream Team, I don't know that, because the Dream Team was like Magic, Jordan, like you had all those guys.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I just meant, as you're the only guys that play for the World Championships, then
we're not the only guys that play for the World Championships. European basketball is pretty decent, teams. Man. What are you talking about? The Euro Leagues are good.
I don't know.
They may not be big, but they're good. Like, you get a lot of talent in the Euro Leagues. Anyways, digressing.
And then taken straight away to the NBA.
Hey, that happens. Okay, sorry. Our bad for monetizing the shit the best way. But anyways, I have no more further points about the IOC, AIBA split. I think it's, again, great move for boxing. One of the best things to happen in boxing in my lifetime. There are just a lot of consequences, a lot of other issues that are happening because of it that we needed to address. We need to keep an eye on, because there are still kids, there are children involved here that have their entire lives at risk. We should be on the ball here as a community, as an industry, as a culture, and be a little more on top of it. Especially when we hear more and more about just the abuses that's been happening in Olympic sports from coaches, staff. God, we need to be more on top of it, guys. Like, we had literal criminals running amateur boxing in the Olympics for fucking decades. Like, we messed up. We messed up. Moving on. Speaking of messing up, like I said on yesterday's show, the day before, right? I think it was a free show, right? I talked about the PBC buyout. Yeah.
I don't know. Apparently, I was in the chat the whole time, but too busy to be on the show. But I don't know. I didn't hear it, Matt. I only commented like twice.
You were, and I remember it now. It was a free show, and you were commenting all the time, but you're too busy. Okay, you didn't want to be on the show. Fine, whatever. But
Matt does numbers.
I wanted to circle back, because again, if you haven't seen it, go check out the Boxing Esquire podcast on SoundCloud with John Nash and Kurt Emhoff. They did the episode, I think it was this week or last week, and talking about the rumors of the WME, William Morris Endeavor, buying PBC, in a sense, air quotes, buying. And those key points were buyout of Waddell and Reed's investment specifically. There are other conflicting rumors that say it's a total buyout, but they mainly dwelled on this aspect of it. So I think this is probably what they heard most of, was this structure. Al Heyman would stay on and still run the company through Heyman Sports LLC. WME also looking to Top Rank as well. No sale this year. And this part is why I wanted to bring up again, because this, I think, sort of confirms this rumor in some aspect. The reason why there was no sale this year is because WME wanted to go IPO this year. They wanted to be public so they can get a huge cash influx from the stock market. That is now official. They just released their S1 papers. I've yet to read them. I know, like, Jason Cruz, John Nash, they're on top of it already. So maybe I'll just wait and see what they sort of come with it instead of reading all that by myself. But that is a confirmation, again, of at least one aspect of this rumor. Is it a confirmation of all these aspects? No. But we do know that they are negotiating in some aspect with WME, Waddell Reed, and Al Heyman. To what extent, how much, we don't know, but we do know there are negotiations. We do know there have been feelers out to Top Rank and others in this IPO sort of confirmation by WME. again, is perhaps a confirmation of this entire rumor. Rob, I've yet to really hear your thoughts on this. I know people have sort of heard my thoughts on it already, so I want to sort of give the floor to you. I'm going to shut up for once in my life. And I want to get your thoughts. Like, what do you think about this? Do you care? Sort of your entire thought process when you hear about these rumors.
Yeah, I mean, I believe they've kind of been rumblings for quite some time now. It's never really surfaced, and it's only obviously, properly come to a lot of more people's attention now. But I mean, it's interesting. It's there's having listened to the podcast myself, they were discussing, what if these come in and start really lowering the money that fighters are making? Will we see these fighters going elsewhere? There's talk that Heyman is sort of massively overpaid at times. Just different things like that. But I believe the talk is if it's just buying out what I'll read, that leaves Al Heyman in place to continue as like the main guy at PBC or whatever.
The one still on the ground, sort of running the day-to-day.
Yeah. So I don't know. Only time will tell. I mean, I believe these guys also looked at Golden Boy at one point. I think that was mentioned in the podcast. So they're massively looking to try and get into boxing right now. And I don't see the landscape changing massively. Unless they do come in, obviously they got the ties with the UFC. So whether they try to somehow base their input on the runnings of it like the UFC model. So does that mean a big pay cut? Or
I would argue though that PBC already kind of runs with the UFC model. Maybe not in terms of the inner workings of the business, but in terms of like production, the graphics are largely the same. Like you look at the UFC on Fox era and the PBC on Fox era, it's virtually the same. Like the sets are the same, the production quality is the same.
That'd be down to it being Fox though, maybe more than
could be
the input of the two other companies. Maybe
right.
It's I don't know, but it'd be interesting to keep an eye on it. I'm sure more will come out as like you say, one little piece of the puzzle has kind of happened. As far the what did you say, the S1 papers or whatever?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but
I have no idea what it is, but I know that's a confirmation that they're going public.
Yeah, I was going to use that long word you just used to try and be funny, but I can't even remember it now.
What, nefarious?
That's it, yeah.
How would you use in that context?
No, I don't know. I was just going to say it for shits and giggles. But yeah, it's something, obviously, more and more will come out. But yeah, it'll be interesting. But do I see a lot changing? I don't know. I'm not sure. But because if Al Heyman's still in charge, it's still kind of going to be ran that way. Will it mean a whole bunch of extra funding? Will it not? Will fighters be paying less? I don't know. But this is all stuff that will eventually come out in the wash as they get further down the line with negotiations and potentially, completing this buyout. But it's interesting. I've seen a lot of the Twitter people. Some saying, "Oh, look, they're selling PBC," and no, they're not. It's that whole thing going on. It's quite funny, but I don't think much is going to change.
No, and Matthew in the chat, Matthew D'Souza, and also I think it was maybe Jay Willis saying, would this be good or bad for PBC? And he said, surely good. And then Matthew D'Souza saying, Matt, what do you think? How will it affect boxing in your opinion? I think, like Rob said, this isn't really largely going to affect boxing, at least in the short term. For some content, calm down there, Rob. Got angry there. Relax. I think similar to how, let's say, the WME transitioned with Zuffa as the predominant owners of Zuffa and UFC, how that company changed its sort of daily operations. Not a lot changed. In fact, almost, I'm not going to say nothing changed because something's changed. They got rid of a lot of their executives within the company that were there to begin with and sort of put in their own guys. but a lot of it stayed the same. You know, maybe some of the matchmaking changed, maybe some of their international focus changed, but the sort of the ingredients of a UFC event did not change. Production did not change at all. And just connect that briefly to PBC and how it could affect it. I don't think PBC would change that much. I think Al Heyman would stay on. They would still sort of let Heyman run it, and they would just be the majority owners and be the sort of the investment of it, and they would just be the funds for PBC while they collect a check on it. And for your comment about pay, I don't think it should affect fighter pay at all, to be honest, because I don't think WME can somehow, affect fighter pay in PBC and make it somehow like UFC payout. Like, that just wouldn't happen due to some of the regulation on boxing, due to just some of the business of boxing, where a lot of these fighters aren't in contracts. So just because they buy PBC and that brand doesn't mean all of a sudden Danny Garcia, Deontay Wilder are in long-term contracts with rollover contracts and clauses that keep guys locked in. They don't have those predatory contracts as much as UFC contracts, right? And those wouldn't all of a sudden exist. Now, could they, through time, start to try to implement them? Maybe. But I still think fighter pay overall at the very top in boxing is going to be far better than UFC, and it's going to be that way for just the obvious reasons of the dichotomy of the industry, how it's so split up. There's so many different moving pieces that no one has a monopoly. Therefore, boxers have far more leverage in the negotiation table than UFC fighters. Because who are UFC fighters going to go to? Bellator? And get shown by a fraction of the people? Go to one championship in Asia? You know, there aren't really those other options for MMA fighters like there are for boxers. And that's why boxers can up their price so drastically. But again, I think this is largely good if it were to happen, because like Rob said, this would be at a huge influx of funds to PBC, and we've seen overall what the influx of a large amount of capital can do to the sport. It can improve it. I think we are better off today as an industry, as a community, than we were 10 years ago, when there were less options on the block, and those options had less money. So I'm all in favor of this. If it goes through, I think it would be a consolidation of combat sports properties under WME. That makes me concerned from a monopoly standpoint. But I mean, at this point, monopolization in sports entertainment and just entertainment as a whole is a fucking issue. So that's not isolated to this case at all. Look at fucking Disney and what they're doing.
Does this somehow, will this be maybe then PBC actually as a promotional company? Will they want to change in any way?
It could. For those that maybe don't
make Al Heyman a promoter, or
they talked about that before. In the lawsuits with the Golden Boy, I think it was Michael Ring was the person that disclosed this information. One of the people that was in the depositions, and just all those documents came out in the discovery process. He came out and said, look, the plan was long-term, Al Heyman would become a promoter. And this would be a league. Or the idea was either PBC would switch over to a promotional company, a true promotional company, Al Heyman would be the promoter, or they have the league. And that was always sort of a romanticized idea of what they could do, that Heyman would be a de facto commissioner, and they would run different promotions within that, including the big ones like Golden Boy, Matchroom. That was their sort of goal. Obviously, that didn't happen. Could that happen now? Maybe not so much as like a 1 + 2 = 3 process, Rob. Like, it's not a linear connection between the sale of PBC to Al Heyman becoming a promoter or his role changing. But long term, absolutely, because that was always in the works. So with a huge amount of cash, maybe they sort of do some hostile takeovers of other promotion companies. Could they do that then? Maybe, because then it would be monopolized enough where Heyman could be the promoter and they don't have to do the league idea and have to work with everyone. But that would be it would take a lot to get to that point.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that IFL video. Al Heyman with his banter trying to come back at Eddie. That'd be good fun.
But then again, he could always do it like
Al Heyman would do it like
he could still be. Let's say if they ever want, let's say they monopolize and some of the competition, right? Let's say they gobbled up K2, main events, sort of the smaller promotions, right? Well,
yeah.
Sorry if that's like offensive, but it's just the truth.
No. Just go and have main events.
Maybe not the big ones like Golden Boy and Matchroom.
Yeah.
But the smaller ones, right? And then let's say they feel they have enough sort of market share, enough fighters in their stable that they could just be a promotion company at that point, and now Heyman becomes a promoter.
They have already, though, right?
No, they haven't done that, in my opinion.
They've got enough fighters, no?
Yeah, but I don't think they can make that switch yet. I think, yes, they are obviously the deepest talent pool and stable in boxing when it comes to a, air quotes, promotion, right? For argument's sake, we have to sort of classify PBC as a pseudo-promotional company because that's what it compares to. But I think if Heyman ever became a promoter, he still probably wouldn't be the point man. He would still have somebody else go on stage and talk, just like the Fertittas had with Dana White. Dana White had with Dave Schaller for a period of time when Dana White was going through his health issues, and he had Dave Schaller as their PR guy, always go out there.
And tell me Dana White still doesn't have health issues. Get out of here. He must have. I think Al Heyman does it like
quickly, because I know you made a joke, but he had like actual surgery on like he had like something wrong with his ear, like his inner ear, like almost like an equilibrium thing. So he had like a couple surgeries and shit to try to fix that. So he was gone for a period of time. Dave Schaller came in and was like the PR guy. Anyways, I know you were making jokes.
It wasn't like cholesterol related or anything like that.
No, it wasn't PED related.
Okay. What about Al Heyman does it like a Force Ghost? That's how he does his interviews, I think.
I'm down for that.
Really dark,
Yeah.
That'd be good. That'd be pretty funny. But yeah, what's next? Segue.
Great segue there, Rob. Let's talk about this whole bantamweight division and kind of like run through these topics a bit. Inoue coming out here and once he got to Japan saying, I fully wanted to fuck up Rodriguez over what he did to my dad. And then
calling all bantamweights, don't touch Inoue's dad.
Fuck yeah, man.
Public service announcement, health warning, risks attached. Don't push his dad.
Coach Mitty's best friend and cousin, Nordine Oubaali, is very eager to face Inoue.
Yeah, let's do a PED test right now on Oubaali.
And Louis Nery feels like the odd man out, obviously, saying that he's finding it tough to lock down Oubaali for that WBC title shot. And on top of that, Mike Coppinger coming out saying sources, former champion Louis Nery is expected to open the Pacquiao Thurman Fox pay-per-view undercard. Two names being considered, Rashid Warren and Juan Carlos Payano. Rob, your thoughts on sort of the bantamweight division right now? I feel like we're just blowing past the Donaire fight in thought. I feel like that might be unfair to Donaire, but it's just the reality. I feel like at this point we're talking about Oubaali, Inoue, and Nery, and those are sort of the top three guys, and they need to sort of consolidate, and then whoever the undisputed guy can move on to 122 and fight Ray Vargas, Daniel Roman, Emmanuel Navarre, whoever. But these three guys in particular, to me, seem to be drawing the most headlines in this division at this point. We're not talking about Donaire facing Oubaali or Nery. Like, we're not talking about that at all. Or even Burnett in some way, which is a shame. Because he could still contend with a lot of these guys and beat some of these guys. But even he's not being mentioned in headlines with these names. So, Rob, sort of your thoughts on the bantamweight division and that sort of top five guys and how it figures out, how it runs out.
Well, first of all, after three, drop one of the three names you just said from this conversation. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Oubaali. You did do it.
Come on.
In unison with that.
I don't think so. I think Oubaali is good. He showed against Rashid Warren he's a top-level bantamweight. On top of that, I think there's some question marks around guys like Tete. So like he could slip in that top 5 easily in an argument. He has a better win than a lot of guys.
Yeah, well, yeah, but
and come on, you're gonna treat Mitty's cousin like that? Come on.
Is it actually his cousin? Or is it
hey,
like Eddie Hearn and me?
Is
it like that?
He has a picture with him though. You don't have a picture with Eddie. Mitty has a picture with Oubaali at like some like wedding or something. So,
despite like claims, I don't even have the same fucking surname as Eddie either. But it's fine.
Neither does Mitty.
But yeah, I guess we're all God's children or whatever it is. We're all related.
Almost died.
What was I saying? Yeah. No, look, for me, I think the fight of the division would be Nery and Inoue. I think we would all want that. It's like I say, Oubaali. Who did he win the belt from?
Rashid Warren.
Yeah, now he's being fed Nery. I don't know. I'm just not putting Oubaali in the same bracket as like Inoue. I'm not even.
He's not in the same. He's not in the same bracket as Inoue, but he is in the top 5 in that division. Like
yeah, but
he's a champion. He has a belt.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I wouldn't necessarily. And this may be hot take or like weird take, but I'm not even putting Nery in the same bracket as Inoue. Come on, Matt. You said Inoue beats 3 out of the 4 champions at featherweight now. So
look, yes. Do I think Inoue probably blasts out Louis Nery within 6 rounds? Yes. However, he still belongs in the conversation with Inoue because he's in that top 3, top 2. You can argue he's the second best guy in the division, and that's an easy argument to make.
Yeah. Who's the second best featherweight?
Gary Russell Jr.
Who's the best featherweight?
Leo.
Right. Then now let's go maybe like 130. Who's the second best 130?
Tank
or
Davis.
135. Do lightweight. Sorry, lightweight. Sorry, my bad.
Second, Richard Comey.
And who's the first?
Lomachenko.
And is there, would you say, a vast or pretty vast gap?
There's enough.
All right.
Yeah.
Is there Inoue and Nery? Just because someone's first and someone's number 2, and that one name's just above the other on a list.
But look, that's not a knock on Nery. Like that's the thing. Like I don't think Oubaali's bad because Inoue is a all-time great potentially. You get what I'm saying? Like,
no, well, that's what I'm saying. They're in the conversation, but are they in the conversation? Like Canelo Jacobs was 1 and 2, 1 and 3 in the division. They're right there in the conversation.
I think Canelo Jacobs is a great example because that was a great fight. I love that fight. It just so happened that Canelo is a all-time great.
Yeah, I don't know. I think you're confirming my point, but
I think we have the same point, but we're making different observations from that point.
Okay,
like I think you come down with like, oh, I really don't care about Oubaali because like Inoue is way too good for him, and I'm like. Well, yes, Inoue is way too good for him, but that's because Inoue is amazing. Oubaali is still top 3, top 4 in the division. Yeah, Gary's saying Manny Rodriguez would beat Oubaali. Get the fuck out of here. Rodriguez does not have a name on his record like Rashid Warren. Stop.
Oh, Gary, you're
stop.
Oh my god. No, but I'm not saying I'm not interested in the fight. It's just in my personal opinion, know the outcome before we go in there. But so to say that he's in the conversation is like...
Look, I know the outcome of Wilder AJ. I know Wilder's going to knock out AJ, but I still want to see it.
It's fantastic. Great banter. It really is. But, I'm just saying, you say that in the conversation, but to me, that yes, they're in the conversation purely on he's maybe the number 3 in the division, but when the number 1 is that good...
So, okay. Let me change up the question.
Look at say like certain women's boxing divisions.
No, I understand your point. I do.
she's number 2. She's number 2 behind Thursday.
Let me switch up the conversation. Let me switch, or at least the framing of it. Would you not be excited for Inoue versus anyone else in that top 4? So that, you know, Tete, Nery, Oubaali, Burnett, you know, name the other guys, right? Are you telling me that because he is so good that it's hard to get excited for those fights?
No, I want to see him regardless. I'll pay to watch Inoue fight every single time. Not too much, but you know, I would if he was fighting here every 3 months, I would be wanting to get a ticket or watch it on TV, and I'd be excited to watch it no matter who he was fighting. Because I just want to see him.
It just didn't seem like that at first, Rob. Like your point was like, oh, fuck Oubaali. Like,
yeah, well, I don't want to see him.
Cousin's
that's
an asshole. Get him out of here.
That's the point. I don't want to see him.
I wouldn't mind an Inoue Oubaali fight after the tournament.
Yeah, but I want to watch that for Inoue. I'm not going, ooh, against Oubaali. Oh, damn.
No, I mean that to me has the. I am more interested in Inoue Oubaali than I was in Inoue Rodriguez.
Again, I'm only interested in it to see if he can beat Oubaali in 1 round or maybe 2. You know, I'm just saying, I'm that. Oh, look, I thought you were on the Inoue hype train. Clearly not. You're in like the back carriages.
I am. No, my thing. I just feel like
you were the driver last week. You were driving the fucking train. You were throwing the coal in the engine.
I still am. Look, here's the thing.
You're like hanging out at the back, looking for like refreshments, waiting for the trolley to come down.
Look, okay. I just love elite boxing. You just want big names fighting big names. It's fine. Casual Rob here.
You're about to stop off on the Inoue train because you've got a change of train waiting, and the Oubaali one's running a little bit late, and you're still waiting.
Look, I think Inoue beats every one of those top 5, but I would love all those fights. Those are all intriguing, interesting fights to me, even though I think Inoue beats all of them. And I think he's a heavy favorite in all of them at this point. That's just how good he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Fucking hater. Moving on. Let's talk about this Daniel Franco, a lawsuit against Jay-Z and Rock Nation. I have yet to really like brief myself on the particulars of his exact claim, like his exact lawsuit claim. But obviously for like malpractice as a management company, as a promotional company, for his severe brain damage that he received in, I forget what fight it was. It's gonna be interesting to see how this sort of unfolds. I like Daniel Franco, to be honest. I think he's a good guy. He's a nice guy. A lot of life in him. You know, the one time I met him in person, there's a lot of life there. And this is the type of lawsuit that can sort of bury a person. Like, he's going up against a machine here, and you know, claiming that Rock Nation sort of led or attributed to his brain damage because of the way they booked him so rapidly. I don't know if that's going to be a solid case. I'm concerned about that case. But it's at least a notable one. It's one of the bigger cases we've had against obviously a very big name in Jay-Z and Rock Nation. Let's see where this goes. It's going to be a process here. Again, let's sort of find out more about this case and the process, and it's going to be a process. Rob, any thoughts on this?
You know, he didn't have to say, yeah, I'll take that fight. Yeah, I'll take that. I don't know. It's a valiant effort, but I don't see that this maybe going to get him the outcome that he wanted. Maybe making enough noise, he might get some kind of out of court kind of settlement where it's just like, look, there's some kind of a gesture rather than, all right, shut your mouth here, take this. We don't want you talking. People know the story, so it might be like a goodwill thing. You know, like it didn't work out, you know, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, he signed the contracts, in my opinion. You couldn't say, look, I've had 2 fights in like fucking 50 days, man. And you want me to fight again in another 29 days? Nah, I'm good, you know. So I don't know, but you know, good luck to him. Obviously, we don't want to see you know, fighters getting injuries or these kind of things happen. But it's kind of nature of the beast, I guess. I think it's been said a lot lately this past week, but we're not supposed to get punched in the head, especially by the hardest hitting, you know, Japanese bantamweights. You know, it's
yeah, not Wilder. He's not the heaviest.
You know, as you go down the pound for pound hardest punches list, it's obviously not as bad, but I'm joking. But yeah, no, yeah, I don't know that this case has necessarily got, you know, great legs behind it, if you know what I mean, that it'll quite get the result that he's looking for, but just my small
yeah, agree. Some conversation in the chat about Roman Gonzalez and Inoue comparisons, and Zulu. Again, Zulu, you gotta do research on these lower weight classes. It's fine not knowing about them, but don't speak as if you do know them if you don't have the knowledge. So remember Chocolatito, Inoue maybe heading down that road, the hype train. You mean the road to Hall of Fame status? Excuse me? Saying he must move up. And then LFC saying not his fault, his natural division is empty. 118 isn't empty. 118 is a completely stacked division. He was at 115 before that. That was a stacked division. And even light flyweight is a stacked division. So, no, his divisions aren't empty. And he's beating great competition, elite level names, championship level names, legends in the low weight classes. And Roman Gonzalez did that for 40-plus fights. He beat legends and legends in all those weight classes. And Inoue has already jumped up higher than higher than Gonzalez ever did. So, no, bad comparison. And I think, again, speaking ill of Roman Gonzalez is just not accurate to his legacy and his career, which is a Hall of Fame career.
Whoa. Rocky's in the Hall of Fame.
So, that's right,
That's
man.
Not. Yeah, no, look. If they're calling it the hype train, like I say, I'm driving that. Matt's about to get off. It's all good. Next up, 122-pound division. After cleaning out this one. Imagine Inoue versus Dehaney.
Dehaney has some diversity to his game. That's the thing that I need to see. I want to see a guy that has.
He could take a good shot, right? So
he take a good shot, and plus, like I said, like he can fight going forward, can fight going backwards, like really efficient. Plus, he's a southpaw. Like that'd be interesting to see. But yeah, I would love a Dehaney fight. Absolutely. I can't believe the chat's in there saying that Inoue is hyped up. Yeah, of course, rightly so, guys. He's a top 5 pound for pound guy, and you can have that top 5 in any way you have. You know, Canelo, Crawford, Lomachenko, Usyk, and Inoue. Have those 5 guys in any order, you good. You good. Zulu saying this guy has 17 fights, so Lomachenko has less fights. How many fights does Lomachenko have? 13? 14? And again, Zulu, he's a 3-weight division champion in those 17 fights. He fought for a belt in his 5th or 6th fight, Zulu. Do some research, man, please. Please, don't speak as if you know something when you fully admit you don't know that. That makes you look ignorant and blatantly ignorant. Speaking of ignorance, though, Paulie Malignaggi. Jesus fucking Christ, man. You know, I was going to play the audio of it, and then the audio I found was shit, so I'm not going to play the audio.
Yeah, it's pretty ropey what I've heard of it.
Hold on, before we jump into this topic, Zulu saying, what knowledge do you need to see this? Zulu, you don't know the names he's facing. That's the knowledge I'm talking about. Zulu, you don't even know who Ryuichi Taguchi is. I bet you don't know who Hickey Butler is. You don't know who fucking Navarez is. So stop acting like you are like there's no knowledge there. You don't know who these fighters are in their careers or these divisions. That's the knowledge of which I speak of. You fully admit you don't know that. You don't pay attention to these divisions. Okay? So again, please do not come on here and speak as if you think you know something when you admit you don't know these divisions. That is a blatant, ignorant statement. Come on, guys. It's very easy here. You know, Zulu, if you want to come for this title, man, you got to come up with something better than this. This is another 10-7 round for me. But back to ignorance. Paulie Malignaggi saying just a lot of crazy shit. And, you know, I took the stance originally that, like, why... Because this is obviously being compared to Deontay Wilder's comments because they're not one-to-one. I think Paulie's are far more aggressive in a way.
Wow. He's also done the kill you bit. You've got the soundbite.
No, I understand that, but he's went on top of it and said, like, I'll piss on your dead body. That's farther.
And that's going to be harder to find in the UK because they're really clamping down on that real soon.
Anyways, God, that was so bad.
But yeah,
I originally I was of the mindset like, look, Paulie's not a champion. Like Paulie's not a real active boxer at this point. Not really a relevant player. There's not a lot of eyeballs on him like Wilder, so they're not held to the same standard. While that is true, what Paulie is saying is reprehensible. Like it is definitely deserving of a reprimand in some way. However, they're fighting in a bare knuckle event with zero commission in the state. So nothing's going to happen, guys. Let's get that completely figured out here. Like nothing's going to happen because there's no jurisdiction. There's no regulatory body here to regulate it. But I wanted to frame this discussion as like, is Paulie just an embarrassment on this sport at this point? Like, is he an embarrassment on boxing? Because not only is he going into bare knuckle boxing, which, in my opinion, is like just fucking stupid. Like, I have zero interest in bare knuckle boxing. I think it is a real sloppy excuse for a air quote sport. So I have no desire in bare knuckle boxing. And for Paulie to go into that at this late stage of his career to fight a literal 500 record MMA fighter, so he can get back at Conor McGregor, and he's saying, I'm going to put you in a coma, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to piss on your body, blah, 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 blah. At what point does he just become a complete embarrassment on this sport? And what time does fucking CBS or Showtime, anyone that's an executive in that conglomerate go, hey, it's a bad look. And we're pumping a lot of money, not only into the sport, but to Paulie, Wilder. Stop saying this shit. Like, we get it's fight promotion. You can promote a fight without saying you're going to piss on somebody's dead body. Okay? And Paulie is probably like an employee. Like, he's getting a fucking check. A regular check from Showtime. Like, this should not be allowed. Like, this behavior is not okay. And I get people want to come back and say, oh, well, Mike Tyson said he was going to eat kids. That wasn't acceptable either. Let's stop acting like these things are acceptable in everyday society. You can't do this. And again, it's an embarrassment on the sport. It pushes us further into the niche market because why would people want to watch this shit? Why do people care about Paulie's opinion about boxing anymore? Because he's some fucking idiot out there talking about pissing on people's dead body like R. Kelly. Stop. Jesus fucking Christ, Paulie. And again, I would put this out there. I am fully biased. I don't like Paulie as a person. We've had disagreements via social media and other things. He does not like me. He's made that perfectly clear. He's avoided interviews because of me on other outlets I've worked for. So, no, I don't like Paulie. I'm going to put that bias out there. But this is objective fuckboy behavior. And Paulie needs to be checked at some point. If not by his literal employers, people that hand him checks, by the community. Like, at some point, we need to come in here and just check Paulie. Like, more boxers need to come out here and be like, Paulie, shut the fuck up, please. You're making it hard for me to cash a check because you're making an embarrassment for all of us. But, yeah, that's my rant about Paulie and his piece of shit comments about MMA, the MMA community, which is fucking laughable. You're a piece of shit, Paulie. And his disgusting comments about putting people into a coma and then pissing on them. Fuck out of here, Paulie. You're despicable.
Yeah. Look, he the first time around when he done the "you piece of shit, I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you," the soundbite you got. It wasn't that based off like because he claimed the dude, what's his name, Artem, whatever it is,
Artem Lobov.
yeah, was disrespecting boxing, and this is how you defend boxing.
You disrespect boxing, you piece of shit?
That's it. Yeah. And yeah, so to come out verbally like this to defend boxing and saying the shit he said, I mean, I'm not big on all this stuff. I prefer, Paulie's a good talker as well. He could, he's sort of got that about him. He could have done it in a much funnier sort of taking a guy to pieces with a bit better, sort of cleverer than piss, take my dick out and piss on your dead body. Like, what the fuck? That's just all right, Paulie, whatever. I don't know. It just, it's just rubbish, in my opinion. And yeah, I've got no interest in it. If I want to go and see some guys punching each other bare knuckles and, just go down the town on a Friday night and wait for kicking out time from the pubs, it's just the way it is. It's, yeah, not quite going to go as in on Paulie as you did, but, it's obviously a little bit, bit of a pass there, but yeah, it's not for me. It's not mate. People say, "Oh, it's selling the fight. It's selling the fight." It's not. I'm not getting it. I'm not watching it. I've got no interest in it whatsoever. I've seen him fight Sam Eggington, and obviously there's a combination that he threw on Eggington going around on the internet right now. I think he might need some like what do you call it, a suit of armor type gloves on if he's going to do any damage. But here's what it is. I'm not interested in it. I've totally skipped all of this sort of bullshit. It's been on my timeline, but I've not even really clicked on it or anything like that. I've heard the audio. It was shitty audio anyway, and
super bad audio. God,
yeah, it's not really anything I'm interested in, to be honest. But part of me is hoping, because apparently they're going to release the whole spar with him and McGregor. That I did see that part. I think Artem, whatever his name is again, said they're going to the sparring footage is going to come out or whatever. But
obsessed.
Yeah, this whole thing. This is like the Joshua Wilder 50 million. This is just really fucking tedious.
Now everyone knows out there listening that you out there listening are obsessed with this AJ Wilder shit. You just admit it, guys, ladies. We all are. It's okay. Now imagine we combine all of our obsession about that fight into a bottle. And you give Paulie that bottle, and he drinks that bottle, and it's only about the McGregor sparring tape. That is how much Paulie is obsessed about that shit. He has somehow bottled up all of the obsession of the boxing community into one situation that no one gives a flying fuck about. No one.
But him.
But him.
And I'm sure McGregor, wherever he is in the world right now, just sits back and sees Paulie still going on about this fucking sparring. Paulie probably put it on McGregor. Who cares? But McGregor's like just watching it all fall out and watching him say, "Release the footage," going out of his fucking mind, living in his head rent free, as you say. When people are past it, who gives a fuck?
Agreed.
That was way too much time on that topic.
We didn't spend that much time on that topic. Let's run through these fights because, again, there's not a lot of big fights that I particularly care about. But Mazuyuki Iota versus Jamal Herring on ESPN. Jose Pedraza also on that card. That should be a good main event. And, again, if Jamal Herring, a guy that I've never had a lot of faith in as a elite talent, and if he beats Iota, that shows something, that shows improvement. So I'm curious about that, but I think Iota should win this one, and Pedraza definitely needs a comeback fight, so let's see if he can get that and sort of position himself into a bigger fight. Next, Devin Haney card on DAZN on Saturday. Also, Jessica McCaskill versus Naoya Sanchez. Is it the full WBA? No, it's not. Just the regular, right?
No, I think it is.
I don't think it's the full one.
Let me get the card up.
I could be wrong. I know it's the full WBC, but I don't think it's the full WBA. But I could be wrong. But that could be a full unification in the super lightweight division. What was that?
It is, I believe.
It is? Let's go with that. Michael Hunter also on this card against Fabio Maldonado, a former UFC fighter. Goddamn, could care less about that fight. Filip Hrgović also on the card, Danir Lisanov. I may run through these events and then let you, Rob, just talk about any of the individual fights you want to. Zhu Shan on the nothing. You can't watch this fight at all, guys. It's really depressing. It's a Golden Boy event in China, and it's non-DAZN. What the fucking point is of DAZN and that deal if you're not going to show me Susan fighting somewhere in China? And plus, you have Carlos Gonzalez versus Sho Kimura on the undercard. Love that fight. Absolutely love that fight. Gonzalez only has a draw against who was it? Was it Taguchi? I think it was Taguchi, who was one of Inoue's big first wins. Zulu, do some fucking research. It's not that hard. And Sho Kimura's only lost to Koze Tanaka, who is a fucking pound-for-pound talent. We'll love that card. We're not going to see it unless you get a illegal stream. Last card we're going to talk about, a PBC on FS1 card, Austin Trout versus Terrell Gachet. Seems like a loser leaves town fight. Cordell Booker versus Wale on Matosa. Sort of a good fight for Cordell Booker. Plus a ton of prospects on the undercard that really haven't gotten their shine. Hopefully we see these fights. I doubt it, though, with PBC's recent scheduling and how they structure their cards. Rob, any thoughts individually about any of these fights? Iota versus Herring, the Devin Haney card, Zhu Shan, obviously one of our fan favorites now, right, Rob? Susan. And the Trout Gachet card on FS1.
Yeah, I believe a lot of people were before the betting odds came out for Herring and is it Ito or how do you say it?
I say Ito or Ito.
Yeah, Ito.
Who cares?
They put Herring as the favorite, and then so much money went on Ito that he's now completely leapfrogged the favorite status to he's like a minus 200 or something like that. But yeah, a lot of people saying the book is fucked up. Like a lot of people have got a good early price on Ito going into this fight. Yeah, what have we got? Yeah, looking forward to seeing McCaskill. Arguably gave Katie Taylor her toughest fight. Obviously, she's moved up, but it is for the WBA World Female Super Lightweight title. Yeah, obviously Devin Haney, the big signing, their potential next sort of American star is what they're going to try and, build Haney. Hunter, yeah, all names that I want to see. I mean, Daniel Yelusinov gave an interview with IFL, sort of claimed that he's delivered on what he said, like 6 fights in the first sort of year being with him, but he said, I want to be on the big cards. Well, I suggest to Daniel Yelusinov, perhaps you entertain us just that little bit, a bit more to, get yourself on these big cards. But, and who else was it? Yeah, and Filip Hrgović against Gregory Corbin. I believe Corbin's the guy that repeatedly hit, was it Charles Martin low and got disqualified? Was it on the Garcia, Spence Garcia undercard, I think?
Was it the Spence Garcia undercard?
I think so. Let me check on Corbin quickly. Pretty sure that's who it was. Yeah, Charles Martin. Yeah. On the event was, yeah, Errol Spencer Mikey. So yeah, looking forward to seeing Hrgović again. He's I enjoy watching Hrgović fight. And then what have we got? Trout, I think he's a slight favorite going into the Gelsher fight. I'd missed who else is on that card, but
a bunch of prospects.
Yeah, well, what is Joey Spencer or someone like that on there?
No one that you probably know of. Though Antonio Tarver's son's on the undercard as a 5-0 prospect.
Okay.
You know? Again, how much of these fights are we going to see because they haven't been showing the undercard? I don't know, but there's, a ton of undefeated prospects on this card. A bunch of like 5-0, 9-0, 6-0, 2-0 prospects.
Yeah. Well, good luck to them. They all go on and continue if they're, only a select few will go on and make it, obviously. But we'll try and catch up with any fights via either like Daily Motion or whatever. Don't want to say it too loud. Keep it a secret.
Hey,
but
what are we doing? Oh, apparently Huey Fury's fighting this weekend. I had no idea.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
I had no idea, guys. I apologize.
Seriously, don't worry
Remember
about
when I was on the Huey Fury hype train? That was fun, guys.
Mm-hmm.
That was good. 92 saying, "Yo, why does Paulie hate Matt? Can we hear that story?"
That could be a Patreon show.
I don't even remember like how that started, to be honest. It was social media. Guys, back in the day, you know how I am on this show. I was like that on social media, and I didn't give a shit. I used to at everyone. And I got blocked by a lot of people, and then I just decided to shut up, and I'll just say shit on my show. So I spout off on Paulie because he's a fucking idiot, and he deserves someone calling him a fucking idiot and a bigot. So yeah, I said it, no problem. But digressing, callers 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. Santiago, Gary, and neither of you have pressed 1. So whoever presses 1 first, gets their call first.
Very quick. Earlier this week, Gary Russell declared that he's a free agent and his willingness to move away from PBC Showtime for more money. Eddie Hearn stated that he expects the WBC champion to attend his show in Maryland on Saturday and get together to discuss a DAZN deal. So that's Gary Russell maybe going to DAZN.
Sorry. So good.
And I did send another one. It doesn't matter, but Eddie Hearn says that they have told the WBC that they will accept Tyson Fury and Dillian White for the Diamond Belt. Resolution being finalized now, but Hearn expects Rivas to be for the interim title with the Fury ordered next. He remains skeptical over whether Fury will accept the fight.
I think I talked about the Gary Russell fight on the last show. Could be wrong. Or not the fight, the free agency aspect.
Yeah.
And then he went on, obviously, the Akin Barak show on DAZN, like right after that news came out. So I'm just saying, guys.
Who is the got?
Saying.
What's Gary Russell going to do on DAZN? Fight Tevin Farmer, move up, fight Tevin Farmer.
Yep.
So
because who's at 126 under the DAZN conglomerate? Not really. Everyone that would be like a Matchroom or DAZN fighter has moved up. Like Scott Quigg has moved up, Jojo Diaz has moved up to 130. Like that's a Golden Boy Matchroom fighter, respectively. They're no longer at 126. I don't think there's really a major featherweight that's under that stable. He would have to move up, and he's talked about that. He's talked about moving up. So I think that's probably the big fight for him is that Tevin Farmer fight. Let's be honest. Let's go to callers. Like I said, 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. International callers, call us on Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Press 1 to get in the queue. Like I said, hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Gary, press 1 first. Sorry, Santiago. So Gary, what's up?
First off, apologies to Santiago because I'm going to be a while. I beat him to the punch. I'm gonna be a few minutes, so he's got to wait ahead of him. But how you guys doing today? You guys doing good?
Well, if you're going to just fill it out with boring chit chat.
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Gary. Thanks for asking, man. How are you?
That. Sounded like you had something to say, Gary. Get it said. What's the matter? What's up? What's this long call all about?
Okay, Rob. In the American South, at least, we have manners and we're polite to people.
We're polite.
Okay, so I was asking you how you were doing. Okay,
Gary, you constantly tell me about my hair, my old age. I'm late. I'm a tad
Gary
person.
talking about manners to you is hilarious.
I know, right?
Okay, a couple of things. Who said that 118 is a weak division? Is that someone in the chat, or who said that?
Somebody in the chat.
Okay, was
We
anyone
debate.
of note? Was it Zulu, or was it the same person?
Anyone of note?
I like how, first off, Zulu, you should feel really like proud of yourself that when he said anyone of note, he only mentioned your name.
Yeah.
No one else.
Yeah.
Only Zulu.
Gary just savaged everyone else.
I forget who it was. I think it was somebody trying to defend Inoue. And they're like, oh, like no one's in that division. It's like, no, that's not true. That's a really bad defensive Inoue. There's a lot of people in those divisions. And he's already fought a lot of people in a lot of divisions. So
Yeah, because 118 might – you could make an argument that 118 is the best division in boxing. Because you got Kudras in that division now. And were you guys considering Ryan Burnett a 122-pounder now? Or were you just not ranking him ahead of guys like Oubaali?
No. I don't rank him above Oubaali, but he's definitely at 118 still. I would say he's not.
I don't rank him above yet. He was a unified bantamweight.
He lost.
He gave one up and then had a back fucking injury.
Hey,
and
shit happens, man. Shit happens. You know what I'm hearing right now?
Emotional. Why you emotional?
All right. Well, the guy he lost to is about to lose.
Viva France! Viva France! Go Oubaali!
Oh my god! Anyway,
100 years war is back, bitches.
Like Rob, he lost. I'm a big Burnett fan. You guys know that. When it happened, he lost. He lost, but he's back now. He looked good in his last fight. If Burnett's at 118, he's the second best fighter in that division. Now,
I don't think so.
Him and Oubaali might not get blown out by Inoue, but everyone else in the division gets blown out by Inoue, and it might be the best division in the sport, right? Because you have Kudras and Burnett back in that division. That is a really, plus Oubaali, plus Manny Rodriguez, plus Inoue. Like that is a really.
Are you forgetting Louis Nery, who's actually the second best guy in the division?
No, Burnett's the second best guy in the division.
Debatable.
They're all accompanying miles second.
But that might be. That's better than the welterweight division.
It's definitely deeper.
It's as good as the middleweight division. If you put Billy Joe back in the middleweight division, like it's that good. It might be but you can make an argument it's the best division in the sport. So there's that, and then all right, I got a Paulie Malignaggi. He's not just from Italy. He's not just from Sicily. He's from the same city in Sicily as my mom is. So it's like he's disgracing the people.
Damn, man, you gotta get a new hometown for your mom, man. You can't have her connected to Paulie.
Your mom didn't spam a cracker, did she?
Of Sicily. They're from the same city in Sicily. I think you're giving him too much credit by saying he's embarrassing the sport. Like it's like saying Adrian Broner is embarrassing the sport, but less. He does. He's not relevant. You know what I'm saying? Paulie Malignaggi in 2019 is not relevant to boxing anymore.
I think, Gary, you're misunderstanding me saying he's embarrassing the sport as like me saying like he's drastically hurting it. No, but he's just an embarrassment on the sport. He's another thing that, casual sporting fans will go like, yep, that's boxing. Combat sports. Fucking circus show.
Right,
it's another thing. When they see it on Sports Center, they're going to say it's another thing.
Okay. And again, I'm not accusing anything Paulie said.
No, I know.
I take it well personally because he's disgracing my people. But just out of curiosity, did you get? And I don't remember. You can say whether you did or you did. Did you get on Wilder when he said he was going to kill Brazil?
No, not really. I made the case that like Wilder is obviously doing it as to try to promote the fight, and it's an obviously very bad PR tactic. Like it's at the very least a detrimental PR line to use, and you're gonna face blowback at the very least. At the worst, you're one of the biggest names in the sport saying stupid shit. That hurts it. That was probably my harshest statement.
For me, saying
but
like,
then again, I don't think what Wilder said is a true 1-to-1 analog to what Paulie is saying. Paulie's going extra steps here, man.
No, he is. But I don't know Wilder. He didn't say Brazil, but he said he wanted a body on his record on the Breakfast Club. That's the Breakfast Club. That's bigger than any platform Paulie ever has, right? And then what's the girl's name? Angela, whatever the girl's name is on the show. Tried to have him walk it back and said, "No, you don't really want to kill anybody." And he goes, "Oh no, I do. I want a body on my resume." It's kind of like the cringe factor. Like he tried to give you an opportunity to work that comment back, and then he doubled down and said, "No, I want a body on my resume." And then he said, "I want to kill Brazil." Like I'm not. It's not what Paulie said, but it's kind of cringeworthy. That's all.
No. I think the difference would be what Wilder said isn't as extreme, but it is extreme enough, and he is a far bigger person at this point than Paulie, so it means more. That's why, like when originally, like I was getting heat for still playing the Paulie soundbite, and by the way, like I'm not gonna play the soundbite anymore. Like I've just decided I'm not gonna play that one. You know, like it's.
Piece of shit.
I'm not. I'm just maybe I need to shorten it up, obviously, and just not play the rest of it. But my defense of that initially was your stance. Like Paulie is not relevant. That's why it doesn't really matter. It's a joke. Like Paulie's making fun of, like not Paulie making fun of himself, but Paulie is embarrassing himself more than anything. But at the end of the day, he is still one of the biggest Showtime commentators they have. He is still a prominent figure in the sport that does a lot of media tours, a lot of media circuits to talk about boxing. I think he has a bigger profile than most boxers to this day still. And I think regardless of him having a lesser profile than Wilder, so therefore it can't have as much of a negative effect on the sport, what he said is more extreme, and who he is still a prominent figure in the sport, and that still matters.
For me, a fighter saying, "Oh, I'm going to kill you. I'm going to kill you." That can be said in the heat of the moment. You could say that about you.
Yeah.
You could say that about like if your kid hasn't like left his room in a fucking mess and then gone out, and you're like, you go in the room and you could be like, "Oh, when you get, I'm going to kill it. I'm going to kill him." But obviously, you're not going to kill him. But when you say, "I want a body on my record," or you say, and I'll get paid for it," and you know, why not exercise my right? You know, and I'm not going to get in any trouble for it, and I'm going to get paid for it. That's a different, to me, mindset. Whether it was just pure making, you know, building up the fight, whatever. I don't think, especially as you know, what other WBC heavyweight champions of the world have sort of meant to people. I don't think that's a good look, but it soon gets forgotten and moved on and whatever. But for me, him saying it in that way was different. Just saying, "Oh, I'm going to kill you." We've heard that from boxers. It's like, all right, but I want to get paid for doing it.
And also, like you said, like he's been asked follow-up questions. Like he's been asked questions that would help him walk it back to. You say, "Oh, I don't mean like it's promoting." Like you know, he could have walked it back. He hasn't. And he's been warned about it before. Air quotes warned.
With the hearing.
But again, while they're not one-to-one analogs of both their profiles or what they're saying, both reprehensible. Both should be reprimanded in some fashion.
But the hearing / cuddle went well. It's fine.
Okay, so and I guess we're not going to mention Keith Thurman and his comments, but this is the last time we'll see Keith Thurman.
What comments?
This is his cash-out fight. That he was going to, if he loses to Pacquiao, he'll retire. Something along those lines. Like if he loses to Pacquiao, he'll bow down and retire.
I can see that.
Okay, you can. When we get off the phone, I can use. It was a boxing scene article, I think. I saw it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It's if Thurman loses to Pacquiao, old man Pacquiao, and makes that check too, I would fucking retire if I was him as well.
Gary, you thought he was retired 2 years ago.
We agree that this is Thurman's cash out fight. What did you say, Rob?
No.
I said, Gary, you thought he was retired 2 years ago. You said you ain't going to see Thurman fight.
He's active. Like
so, Gary, if this is a cash out fight, then that means when he wins, he's cashing out no matter what too. So you think that as well? Because he's not saying that.
I think he's going to. No, I think he's taking his check. He's going to lose. He has no interest in winning the fight. He's going to take his big fat check, go play the flute with his wife in China for the next 50 years. So I think this is it. I think this is his retirement check.
And what if he wins?
And I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think he has any interest.
Cool. I understand what you think is going to happen. What if he wins?
What if he wins?
Yes.
Then what does he do? Right? Because then he's got to fight either Spence or Crawford, and we know he's not doing that. So I mean,
or
if
Danny,
he wins, he still loses.
Or Danny, he could fight Danny.
Yes, I mean, is there that much? Yeah, he could fight Danny.
Yeah.
Is there that much interest in him?
Or Sean
with Danny?
Porter.
Yes, absolutely. Or fuck,
Okay,
if Mikey beats Danny, Mikey's back in it. Absolutely. Fuck. You know what? You can give him a fucking tune-up with Adrian Broner afterwards, and I'm okay with that. There's a lot of things you can do with Thurman still.
Sean Porter might be
Pacquiao, he needs to tune up with Broner? I mean, like, yeah, he can do that. I mean, I don't know how much interest there is in being the number 3 guy in the welterweight division, right? Because he's not. You're on board that he's not fighting Spencer Crawford. That's not.
I'm not.
Right?
I never said that. You're saying that.
Okay,
Gary, let's get this clear. You are the only one here that thinks Thurman has zero interest in fighting.
Okay.
I don't have that mindset. I don't think Rob has that mindset. Not to speak for you, Rob, but I'm also picking Thurman to win. So if Thurman wins, I think he is fully invested in the sport. If he loses, then I think he's looking at himself like, hey, look, my time has passed me up. Old man Pacquiao is beating me. I collect a paycheck. I'm good. And also, that's another promotional tactic to use in a sense. Like, hey, look, if I lose, I'm retiring. That's how serious I am. You know? So I don't put any stock in that, really, Gary. Any.
Okay.
What about that undercard, Gary?
And the undercard, that's what. So that always has him buys against Keith Thurman. On the undercard, we have Omar Figueroa against Ugas, right? And I said I was skeptical of Keith Thurman fighting twice in a year. Omar Figueroa is one of my favorite fighters. I followed his entire career, the Texas guy. I'm skeptical he's fighting on that undercard. That he's coming back 6 months later, having fought twice in 5 years, to fight the biggest fight of his life. I'm skeptical of that fight coming off. I'm not saying that it won't. I'm just saying that I'm consistent in inactive fighters fighting twice in that relative short of a time span. I'm skeptical that Figueroa will fight twice in 6 months.
He's scared?
Being consistent. If he fights the way he fought against Molina, he's gonna lose Ugas.
Ugas liked my tweet, Gary, so he's fighting at least.
Gary, gun to your head, you picking Ugas, Figueroa, pick.
I gotta take Ugas.
Yep.
I'm rooting for Figueroa. That's my guy. He looked absolute trash in that John Molina fight. He looked like Brandon Rios. He looked like, some big, slow guy just chopping punches. It's like that. That looked awful. I can't take him to be a top 6, 7, 8 welterweight at that point, looking like he did. But I'm rooting for Figueroa. That's my guy, obviously, right? But hope he wins. And I wouldn't bet on him winning. I'd bet on him losing. But if he does win, if he beats, does that put him into a title shot? Does that put him in a title? Because many people, maybe most, think that Ugas beat Porter. So if he beats Ugas, if Figueroa beats Ugas, does that put him in position for a title fight?
Sure, I guess.
Wouldn't this probably be an eliminator?
Yeah, but does that even matter? Those are just terms thrown out.
Well, yeah, it's a WBC, right? So,
yeah, those are just terms thrown out.
We know what that means. But Sergey Lipinets, right. John Molina Jr.
I wish we had Ugas versus Lipinets instead. That would be a better fight. Just saying.
You could, that'd be a good fight. You could sell Spence versus Figueroa in Texas, but Figueroa would get his head taken off. Right? The only fight you could give him a chance of winning is against Porter, who's likely not going to have a belt much longer.
Not Thurman?
Well, I'm assuming Thurman loses to Pacquiao. He wouldn't do well against Thurman either. Thurman's too fast for him. Like, if he's that slow, Thurman's going to have a field day on him. Like, I'm just being realistic. Did you watch Figueroa's last fight?
So you're telling me that Figueroa is the Joe Joyce of the welterweight division?
He looks like he's punching through, what did Rob call it?
Molasses.
It wasn't molasses, though, whatever the fuck you said.
Treacle.
Tree corn.
Treacle, yeah.
Treacle.
Tree corn.
Treacle.
Acorn.
Fucking dumbass.
Yeah.
So are you assuming that Spence beats Porter?
I think everyone is.
That Spence? Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah, Spence beats Porter.
All right. Just saying.
Okay. You don't think Spence beats Porter?
I think it'd be a good fight.
Do you think, let me ask you this. What do you think is a more competitive fight? Spence, Porter, or Loma versus Campbell? Which one's more competitive?
Spence, Porter.
Because Campbell's just going to wipe the floor with Loma.
Yeah,
so.
Campbell's too good, man.
Right. You're going to outbox him, though, right? You're going to outbox?
Clinic.
He's going to flat out Inoue his ass.
The Terrell Goucher versus Austin Trout.
Really?
That's the main event, right?
Yeah.
That's the main event?
Yeah.
Is that undercard? Terrell Goucher, who I know he was an Olympian, but who has Terrell Goucher ever beaten of note? Anyone, ever?
No one.
No one?
No one.
So he's in the main event. Okay.
Hey, it's not Fox. It's FS1. I always put that in context. This is an FS1 card.
What I want to know is, was that undercard? Is that going to be available to stream? Because if you look at that undercard, there are 5 fighters from Dallas on the undercard.
Yeah, I saw that. I don't know. I haven't seen anything. Because you have the brothers. What are their names?
Alejandro.
Yeah.
And Arnold Alejandro.
Yeah, they're good. I like them. Plus, you have like Cordell Booker on the court. I love that. Like, I've always been a fan of Booker. I don't know. Obviously, you're not going to just get the main event on the telecast, but how much of the telecast? Probably only 3 or 4 fights. I don't know if they're going to show the prelims.
Right,
I doubt it.
Yeah. Okay. There's another guy, Amon Rashidi and Fernando Garcia on the card. I was hoping that I don't understand why there's so many Dallas fighters on a card in Mississippi. What's the?
Because Mississippi's in the South, like Dallas is. I don't know.
Dallas is a long way away from Mississippi.
Hey, if it was in New York or L.A., it would be longer.
That's true. That's true.
And those are the 2 big markets they go to.
I would go to the card to watch all those guys, but I'm not flying to Mississippi to watch Goucher versus. Who do you guys like out in that fight? Have you ever seen Goucher? I'm not joking.
Bro,
Rob, have you ever seen Goucher
I've been credentialed and I've interviewed Goucher, man. I saw him fought Steven, was it Martinez, live, where Steven Martinez got robbed because he honestly beat Terrell Goucher. And everyone in Media Row was like, what the fuck just happened? And that event sold 3,000 tickets for the Robert Guerrero, David Peralta main event. Yeah, I've seen Terrell Goucher fight. Plus, he fought Laura.
I saw him fight Alessandro Lara. And I think I saw him fight Joey Hernandez as well.
Yeah, no, we've seen him fight. I think, didn't he fight Hatley too at some point? I think he fought Hatley like after Hatley got demolished by Charlo, I want to say.
No Hatley.
Did he?
No Hatley? No.
He's really fought nobody's Matt. Like he maybe Orlando Laura or something like that. Like he's fought nobody.
No, he's not good.
Yeah, he retired Orlando Laura.
See, I mean that's probably the best win on his resume. Like no joke.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's not good.
He's not good.
No.
I know he was Olympian. I know, I don't know. I guess he's got skills, but he's not good. He's never beaten anybody. And that's the main event. That's awesome. The guys would take Trout, right? Everyone takes Trout.
Of course.
Uh-huh.
Plus, you have the Devin Haney card, the ESPN card.
Oh, Herring. Herring is another guy. I like Herring. I want Herring to win, but he's another Olympian that like. Can we prepare ourselves for the fact that he might not be that good?
No, look, I like Herring as a person. He's a really nice guy, a really great person in the sport. However, I've never thought he's elite. This is the fight where if he loses, it kind of proves he's not elite. But if he wins, it shows he belongs with maybe a Burchelt, Tevin Farmer, Gervonta Davis sort of fight. I would be down for that after he beats Iota, but he needs to beat Iota first.
I don't think he beats Iota.
No, I don't either.
I mean,
I don't either.
okay, he definitely doesn't beat any of those guys you just named.
No.
Yeah, I meant to ask you, because we were you were talking about, I guess it was Zulu, who doesn't watch the smaller weight classes.
Mm-hmm.
When you were on the Name Redacted show with Name Redacted, Redacted didn't watch anyone under 126 for sure.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
If you said the name Kozai Tanaka to him, do you think he would even know who that is?
Kozai Tanaka? No, he would have no idea.
No way.
No clue, right? And that's, I don't know, top 15 fighter in the world probably?
Easily. You can make a legit argument he's in the top 10.
You could probably put him in the top 10, but yeah, he'd be around number 10. Yeah, and Name Redacted would have no idea who that is, right? No clue?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. That's what I'm saying. Like there's no, if you don't watch small weight classes, there's no shame in that, right? Like
absolutely no shame in that.
Huge platform with 100,000. You know, it's just. But don't act like Inoue's not good if you don't watch the small weight classes, or that those guys at 118, Kudras and Manny Rodriguez aren't good if you don't watch that division. Like, because those guys are really good.
Absolutely. For example, Gary, the UFC Fight Pass, Roy Jones boxing cards. I don't watch them. Do I pretend to speak on them and break them down? No, I don't. I don't pretend to have opinions about things I don't see.
There's actually one on tonight.
Oh, I know. I'm not gonna watch it. I saw that. I'm like, I'm good. What the fuck?
There's a kid, Max Ornalis, a 118-pound prospect, so a smaller guy. That's who they're.
Yo, there's a Texas kid on every one of those cards that you tell us to watch. Every single one.
Max Ornalis isn't from Texas. Max Ornalis isn't from Texas.
What, Italy?
He's got a lot of. No, he's from California or Vegas or something.
So Texas adjacent.
But no, he does have a lot of Texas fighters.
Yeah, he does.
And there's one. I know you laughed at Rigonucci, but I'm going to give you a name. And this guy's really good. He's a 140-pound prospect from San Antonio. His name is Kendo, Kendo, Castaneda. He's signed by Roy Jones. You check him out. And really check him out. Don't laugh him off and say he looks like a fisherman like Rigaccini. Would you really check him out? He's really good.
I mean, I guess I'm not gonna make promises, Gary. Like, I'll be honest. Like,
because you still haven't gone back and watched that 90-second Rigonucci.
No,
right?
fuck no, Gary. You know how much bad boxing I watch? I don't want to force myself to watch more.
Okay.
I shouldn't say bad boxing. I should say low-level boxing, because there's a lot of bad boxing and low-level boxing.
No, he's got like the WBC European Continental Silver Belt, so it wasn't that low level.
Are you still talking about Rigatoni?
Rigonucci, yeah, he had the WBC Continental.
Yo, no one cares about Rigatoni, man. You can move on.
That's all I got.
Gary, very very quickly, because you didn't talk about it when I addressed it in a show earlier. The PBC sale. Any thoughts about that and the rumors about that? Do you care?
Like, I don't. I mean, I care and I don't. Like, if someone else buys it, great. If PBC collapses, well, that's bad for boxing. Then I care, right? Like, if someone just steps in and buys PBC and it goes on, and those fighters still fight under a similar banner, like, that's fine. It just seems like they're hemorrhaging money and it has to stop, right? Like, I don't know. But didn't we kind of always see that as like that bubble's gonna burst at some point? Like,
but let's be honest, Gary. At this point, it's like an industry issue. It's not a PBC issue like it was in 2015. Like the question mark about like, oh, PBC paying fighters far too much. Remember that was a major talking point, and like how many columns were written by boxing writers about that in 2015. Now that's an issue for match boy, everyone. Is the bubble going to burst? Yeah, at some point. At some point. Is it going to happen now or in the near future? I don't think so.
Okay. I mean, because who's going to float them the money? You know what I'm like? Because they still have all these fighters they have to pay. So where are they going to get that money from? I mean, somebody has to buy them, but who's going to buy them? The Zone?
I don't know.
You know what I'm saying? I don't know either. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But like I can't say I'm surprised.
Okay. Thank you for the call, Gary.
Yeah.
Very well mannered.
Yeah, that was a nice call. No debates. That was nice. Santiago in LA. Santiago.
Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can definitely tell we're on speakerphone, but I'll deal with it. It's
Fine,
you.
Santi. You just talk.
I'm actually trying to use the headphones, so I don't use the speakerphone. But
try
let me know if
speakerphone.
it gets bad.
Try speaker. Let's try speaker. Let's see how that is.
Yeah, look.
Hold on, give him a second.
Yo, can you guys...
Hello. Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Better, worse?
Better. I think I hear you a little better.
Fascinating. So apparently on my phone, speaker's better than headphones.
Yeah, like in the headphones, you sounded far away. Like you sound like you're a little bit muffled.
Santi just telling the myth that get off speakerphone. How's your day, man?
I want to give Gary a special shout out because, as is his trademark these days, I was able to sit down, eat my food, listen, wait just enough time for the food to settle, and then get on the call to talk. So shout out to you, Gary. You gave me time to enjoy myself.
God damn, it would have been cold if you'd have really waited.
Hey, sometimes it works. Sometimes it works. I truly hope to one day meet this man. I would love to have a historical debate on him about the heavyweight division. Maybe he's up for a round 2.
Nah.
Anyways, let's just get to the topic at hand. The PBC buyout. You know, listening to that and then listening to you guys talk about it honestly makes me think about the college scandal that happened way back in the 80s, I think, with the Southwest Conference, you know, with like SMU and all the students that were being paid, you know, under the table and stuff so they could perform, and the repercussions that happened when they weren't either able to meet the payroll or the fact that they just had to cut it off altogether and the conference dissolved. I obviously think that the bubble will probably burst in the future just like it did with the conference dissolving. Maybe not right now, but I am in the mindset of Gary where, you know, if they buy it and it's business as usual, then I guess kudos to them for, I guess, keeping the status quo. But if it starts affecting boxing in the long haul on the major scale, then yeah, I'm gonna have some major concern because, granted, we had and have our reservations when this was first even talked about, but we've been enjoying it. We've been enjoying what they've been giving us. Granted, in the early start, it was like really rough, a lot of questionable fights that were just being like surplus to us, like if they were Costco, and eventually we started getting good fights and everything. We've been enjoying that, but definitely some concern for that about like where the hand turns at that point. You know, are they gonna make a hard left or a hard right? So I'm definitely gonna be keeping my eye on that to see just how everything plays out with them. And then you know, I like Arreola. I've been following Arreola since I want to say maybe 2007, 2009. I went to go see him fight live against Vitaly Klitschko, my first live fight. And granted, I was going for Vitaly Klitschko. I thought Arreola could do it. And obviously, he's had highs and lows in his career, a lot of it having to do with his own damn weight. But I definitely think that this is a fight where if Arreola loses, he needs to accept his long overdue retirement. And if Kownacki loses, then he has to go back to the drawing board. Because I do think that this is a fight that Arreola could win. I think I'm still picking Kownacki to get the win. I think that he's got a little bit more oomph into him right now. He's not as detrimental to himself as Arreola has been in his own career. But I definitely do think that this is the make or break fight that probably pushes Arreola to figure out whether or not he still has it in him to still keep going. Granted, I think that he should have probably retired last year. Your thoughts on that?
Man, I've been wanting Arreola to retire for some time. He's one of those guys that's just a pure gatekeeper. He's a name value guy that's fought some names in the past. Therefore, he's going to be pushed in there with prospects and future contenders as a name to sort of put them over. And there's value in that. Like, he's probably going to make decent money for this fight, and he will make decent money if he keeps fighting. But, I mean, God, the guy's taken so much punishment over the decade plus he's been fighting. And like you say, Santi, I remember him fighting Vitali. Like, that was over a decade ago now. Like, it's time that, Arreola moves on with the second half of his sort of career and life in boxing, whatever that may be, coaching, management, promoting, whatever it may be, announcing, commentating, do something else with boxing if you love the sport that much. But I don't want him to take punishment over and over again because he's going to take a lot of punishment in this fight.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely think that win, lose, or draw, Arreola should really consider this as his farewell fight. It's on the big stage. It's against a good opponent. Sure, people are thinking he's going to get fed, but try to go out with your shield and try to go out with some pride. Don't let yourself become like everybody else who fought on too long and eventually they just feel sorry for you. Like, he's been a good guy. He gave us some great fights. There was a lot of promise for him. He didn't fulfill them, but we still love him. He's a great guy, and, we don't want to see him get hurt.
Agreed.
On to the 118-pound division and 122-pound division for that matter. I was actually just having this conversation with a friend of mine who was giving a ride about the fact that some people, because they don't watch or follow the division itself as clearly or as passionately as they do the heavier weight classes, when they hear us talk about these lighter guys doing this or that in comparison to the heavier guys, that they just assume that whatever, and it's kind of like, no, educate yourself, because I have my inspiration, my anime, to thank me for becoming educated in the lower weight classes first and foremost before anything else. You have been my insight for why I still follow the lower weight classes, where a guy like me would probably be following middleweight and up, because right now 118 and 122 are really, really good with some really, really great fights, really great fighters, and really great future matches that we are just dying to see and see how they play out in the end, we got Ray Vargas versus Tomoki Kameda that I'm looking forward to. I'm hoping to see that fight live at the StubHub. I think that's a great matchup to see who fights Daniel Romanek. You got Daniel Roman, who has 2 belts on him. You've got Naoya Inoue, who could probably be going up to 122 after he unifies the division. And just a slew of names that really, if you just do a little bit of research, you find out, hey, these guys are really good,
Absolutely. Roman Gonzalez is the perfect example. For people that don't know, go back and watch, Roman Gonzalez versus Akira Higashi for, what was that, the flyweight unification. That was a big fight in Tokyo at the time. That was a fight of the year contender that no one saw, no one talked about, but that was a great fight between 2 possibly future Hall of Famers. No one talks about that because they didn't see it. But hey, if you didn't see it, don't talk about it as if you know. Don't talk about Roman Gonzalez's career with any sort of set opinions if you didn't see his career. It's really simple. It's a really simple concept. If you don't know, if you haven't seen it, don't speak as if you have.
Definitely. I mean, you and I have had the privilege and pleasure of being to some of the best events of those guys of that weight class. I mean, don't forget the one fight that we always fall back on when it comes to just how raucous and passionate an arena could have been in one given night. Roman Gonzalez versus Carlos Cuadras. That fight, man, what a fucking.
That is still
atmosphere.
probably the best single fight I've ever attended with the single best crowd I've ever witnessed. 12 to 15,000 angry, drunk Central Americans, Mexican, Nicaraguans that hated each other, literally duking it out while their two heroes were duking it out for a 5-year contender. That was insane. People were jumping over each other, getting into fights. Flags were being thrown around. It was fucking insane. And also one of the best fights of the last decade. But if you didn't see it, you don't know about it.
And you missed out too, man, because like a lot of these guys, they only recently started getting the shine that, for a long time, guys like us always felt that they deserved. You know, like
90
I remember
seconds.
when it was like just hearing that, oh hey, freaking, the Hawaiian Punch is gonna be featured on HBO, or they're gonna be doing a double header with Roman Gonzalez and Gennady Golovkin. It was kind of like, it was a big deal to us because it wasn't often that these guys got that kind of shine. So definitely, you guys have to do what you can to, like, as passionate fans of the sport and as people who truly love the
60
sport, this
seconds.
is what you live for. Great fights. Not great fights at whatever way, but great fights, great atmospheres, great events, That's what you want. That's what you want in a sport. That's what you want in what you do and what you love. So, nothing against you guys because, every day we're always learning something new. Every day I'm still learning about new fighters, learning about new things going on. I didn't know about the monster Naoya Inoue until Matt brought him up to me, and then I had the privilege of seeing him fight live, and damn, am I ever grateful for that. Same thing with Tomoki Kameda. I saw a guy in there who weighed no more than 122 pounds, but damn, what good boxing skills that guy has. He's going to be. So I look forward to
10 seconds.
hopefully seeing these guys come full circle with this.
Agreed. It's crazy. I completely not forgot, but like I always get to mind that like we have seen Inoue live, me and you, Santi, and it's only because that Roman Gonzalez got brutally knocked out in that rematch with Rungsviat that it got escaped from my mind that Inoue's U.S. debut was also on that card. But these divisions are littered with talent. Just gotta watch the fights. Like, it's simple. Like, look, Rob can probably test this. I know jack shit about real football. Like, I don't know anything about, the Premier League nowadays. I followed it really briefly for a couple years tops when I was a teenager, but that was it. Am I going to go out there and start talking about who's better, Ronaldo or Messi? No. I didn't watch their careers. That's not for me to decide. I'm going to go read other people's opinions about it that I've seen them play, but that's not for me to talk about. That's not for me to have an opinion on.
Yeah, I undoubtedly agreed. And then, with you guys, too, when you guys had the UK hour, you brought in introduced people to a whole world of UK boxing and, what some fighters that people weren't getting recognition over here just because they weren't being showcased here, That's another example of, like, just because you've never heard of some people or never seen the scene before doesn't mean it's not good. Again, you have to be able to be willing to educate yourself and look into these things. Take the time and effort to be like, all right, let me check this guy out. Let me see if he's any good. Not, just simply take it from hearsay.
Agreed. And again, like, that doesn't take away from these athletes' greatness. I just did not see their greatness. I was not privy to it, which is fine. But that doesn't mean that I can go around saying, Ronaldo Messi's, a hype train. Okay, he's never been good. He's just like this other soccer player because I don't have any knowledge of that. So it would just be inaccurate for me to have those opinions.
Definitely. Anyways, that's pretty much all I got. If you guys have any other questions regarding any of the other topics, I know I missed a couple, but if you guys have any questions about any of the topics, feel free to shoot. Otherwise, that's my call. Keep up the good work. Hit that like button, share, and subscribe. These guys give us hours and hours of content and footage. We were able to get Matt credentialed for his fight, for the Rungvisai Estrada fight. We're trying to get Rob out there for the Rivas fight. So keep showing your support and keep showing these guys what our support can do for them.
Thank you, Santi, for the call. Always appreciate it and always love the kind words, man. We forgot about a topic, Rob, so we're going to briefly cover it because we forgot about the topic. I know it's late, but hey, you didn't do a show yesterday, so I'm making you go over time. Whoa, I know, right?
Me.
I'm going to get HR on your ass, man. Don't worry about it. Shakur Stevenson coming out and saying, I'm ranked number 1 for the WBO with the little evil devil emoji faces. Oscar Valdez is about to get worked the fuck over by Shakur Stevenson. I am here for it. I think Oscar Valdez needs to give up that belt that he's been fucking hiding from good competition. Oh, my God. Scott Quigg sent him to fucking the hospital for a year. That's how bad fucking Oscar Valdez is. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, no, fair play to the young kid. I know people sometimes sit back and go, well, he's only had so many fights and he's already number 1 in the... But, he's there. But, God damn, the comments on that tweet. Oh. But anyway, that was...
I like how, 90% of it's about the WBC and Dylan White.
Yeah, someone said, yeah, thank God it's not the WBC because that number 1 status wouldn't mean shit. Basically, I just asked Dylan White. There's also one that gives an abbreviation of what the WBO stands for, but
I saw that.
Yeah. No, fair play. Shout out. Yeah,
yes.
Go and get the strap.
We have one more call, and you know who it is. Zulu.
That's right. Salute, MCR family. Look, salute to everybody in the chat. Everybody that's gunning for my head, salute. This America. You're supposed to do that. But Matt, I got the bearded Matt back. That's what I'm talking about, my boy. The bearded Matt. Shout out to you too, Rob. Hey, let me make myself. I had to call in. I know you guys running over. I ain't gonna take too much time, but I had to call in to support my position. I'm not an Inoue hater. I want to get that. I just want to get that out there first and foremost. And a lot of guys in the chat, like I told them, yes, I did box. I boxed on the Army team. I got over 26 rounds with Ray Mercer. I'm in that age group. He's a little older than me. Me and Ray are tight friends. So I know what I'm talking about boxing. But when it comes to the lower weight divisions, I submit I don't know those guys. And my boxing friends that have boxed and some have boxed professionally don't know who they are either. Not saying that they're not good. They're probably great. But I can't really speak to that. So when I said I made a comparison in the chat about Chocolate Tito because he was being touted as being a pound for pound. And he kind of got knocked off that pedestal, seems like, when he moved up. Now, am I wrong in that, Matt?
Yeah, I would. I would say not totally wrong. Not totally wrong. I think you're 100% right, obviously, about just the awareness of the lighter weight classes and that being an issue. Absolutely. I think that goes without saying at this point, right? Roman Gonzalez did not lose that status once he went up in competition level. He lost that status once he started becoming known, and that's very different.
What did you say? You said known?
Yeah, when he started getting known, when people started becoming aware of him, that's when he lost.
Oh, okay.
And it was towards the tail end of his career. He already had 40-some-odd fights. Think about it, before he ever made a televised fight in the U.S., before he was ever streamed in the U.S. So
because I never knew of him. I'm telling the truth. I never knew of him until he started getting known, like you said. But go ahead.
And I don't think that's, again, an aspect of competition improved. He was fighting great competition in other weight divisions for a long period of time. It just wasn't getting seen. You know, he's MF Doom, man. One of the greatest rappers alive. No one cares about him. No one saw him. You know, unfortunate situation, but it just is. So I think your perception or your framing of the timing of him losing combined with him reaching pound-for-pound status is framed wrong, if that makes sense. I hope you understand that. And on top of that, I think you didn't, maybe you'd have this opinion, but you just didn't specify it right, or at least I didn't see it. But when you frame these fighters as hype trains or overhyped or any sort of variation of that, it's an implication, a direct implication that they aren't skilled or they aren't elite.
Well, that's not my that's not my understanding.
And that's fine. And that's fine if we have a different understanding of that, and that's cool.
Yeah.
But that's how
when I say
read
I mean
it.
just kind of pushed a little faster than they should be pushed. I said the same thing about Loma, and I was wrong. I conceded to that, even though he lost. I felt in the beginning he was hyped, and from the perspective of being pushed too quickly as being great, because my excuse was he hasn't had enough fights. He did lose. I did that for a long time, but being a fighter, having that understanding and seeing what this man has done when he has went up, when he has fought the Gary Russell Juniors, all the names that you can fight, and he do them all the same. I have to say, listen, the man is great. He's great. But I said I did call him hype, not a disrespectful way, but just being pushed a little bit, quickly. And I use that with Inoue because, and part of that in my ignorance may have been I do not know those lower weight class. I don't really watch those lower weight class. I fought as a heavyweight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and again, I think that's completely fine. It just not knowing something is very different than like not knowing something and then trying to speak on it, in my opinion.
Right.
Which I thought you were doing a little more brazenly. You're walking back what I thought you meant. That's fine.
I'm just saying what I'm saying. That's what I meant.
Yes.
It's a chat now. The words probably
of course.
come out with the emotion associated with it. Like that's why I wanted to call in. So, but I appreciate everybody in the chat. I understand their position. But I do want to make it, you're not just talking to somebody who knows nothing about boxing.
Well, no, I understand that, too. I don't think you don't know anything about boxing. I think you don't know anything about these fighters in this weight class. You just haven't watched the fight. That's a very different statement than me saying you don't know boxing. And you've seen, let's say, Inoue now, how many times? How many fights have you seen?
I've only, man, to be honest, I've seen 4. I went back and watch. I had to go back and watch it, And once I was, his name got more popular, like you said. There's some truth in what you're saying. It was the same with Chocolatito.
Yep.
Once his name was starting to get thrown on the pound for pound list, then my curiosity got, let me see what this guy can really do, And I went back and watched his fights because I just never watched those weight classes really, And the same thing with Inoue. And I said, man, I watched it. I said, I like what he's doing, and now, I like it. I like him a lot. I would want to see him go up and conquer some, some of the other divisions as well. And then I understand he did go up. What was it from what I understand? What was it? 101? What was it? 105, 118 or something like that?
Yeah, I think he started at 105 and then jumped up to 118.
105 he started and he came all the way up to 118, right? Because I'm learning this as I go. That's what I love. I love about boxing, and I love about a sharp boxing mind, which I think you are. To be honest, a sharp boxing mind, because you can learn from it, and I'm learning about that particular division, but I don't want anyone to think I'm downgrading them.
No, and
I have a strong opinion.
And look, like you said, things get lost in translation via text and via talking on the phone, right? That goes with everything.
Right.
I just put in the YouTube live chat the Roman Gonzalez Akira Yagashi fight from 2014. I'm assuming you haven't seen this fight, right?
I can't say that I have. I can't say that. I don't remember it. I've seen Roman Gonzalez.
When you have some free time,
his opponents.
When you have some free time, go back and watch this fight. You're gonna be blown away. And again,
right,
this is one of those fights that this is my go-to fight. That if I want to bring a fan of boxing into the lighter weight classes, this is my go-to fight. Watch it.
I might have seen it, Matt, but I just don't recognize the opponent. I recognize him, but you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So I will have to go back and see that. But I thought I always thought Roman Gonzalez, just from a boxing perspective, was an in-the-pocket, come-at-you fighter.
Yes.
That's all. He took a lot of punishment. This is what my observation was. He took a lot of punishment, even though he was successful, and I didn't think that would last very long as he moved up. That was just my That was my opinion about him only. He's going to the Hall of Fame, of course. These boxers will go to the Hall of Fame, and I applaud them for it because fighting is hard, man. Fighting is hard. So I understand that. I would never degrade them. When I say things like, "Oh, that one's a bummer," it's just kind of like we're joking around with each other.
I understand.
I never mean it that way. So I want you guys out there in the chat to really understand what Tank Commander coming from.
Now, if you had to succinctly put like your opinion about Inoue's boxing ability, how would you describe Inoue's boxing ability?
And he's fast and he's strong, but he also he understands, in my opinion, how to go to the body and when to go to the body. What I mean by that, when you talk about a body puncher, an effective body punch is not one that's just hunting for the body. You hurt the head first, then you go to the body. And I really seen him do this last time against that champion Rodriguez, right? He hurt him. If you look at the body shot, is what took everything out of him. And knowing that you have your opponent in the position to place you can't just hit to the body. You have to place the shot the right way. And I feel he has the kind, what I call in boxing, we call eyes to see up and down. When the opening is up and when the opening is down. He has that kind of thing, kind of like Lomachenko. But I just think Lomachenko's a better technician than him. So thus far, from what's been proven, in my opinion, that's just my opinion. Mm-hmm. But he seems like he's almost cut from that same cloth. I would like to see when he goes up, just like Lomachenko went up, and I want Lomachenko to go up one more weight class if he would, and do the same thing. But if he goes up and do the same thing, man, then I'm just like, hey man, I can't deny it, brother. I can't deny him. And then a lot of it, I'm just starting to watch him. Mm-hmm. So I haven't been watching him. So there's a lot of truth in what the guys are saying about, I don't know the history. I hadn't watched him coming up, his first fight in America and all. That's true. I haven't, because I don't watch the smaller weight classes that much. But I do know fighting, and I know what I saw. In the fights that I've looked at with him, I saw he's kind of straight up a little bit sometimes, but he has that Roy Jones type almost athleticism in a sense. Roy Jones was the same way. He was able to get away with a lot of things until his reflexes start to fail him. Then he started getting caught more. That was, but Roy Jones' whole thing was speed, fighting with his hands down, throwing 7-8 combinations at you, before you knew what happened. But the guy is a talent, no question, brother, no question about that. But one thing I also wanted to bring up, in the heavyweight division, Kownacki and Arreola, man, I think that's a bad fight for Kownacki. I mean, he's going to walk through Arreola. I don't see it doing anything for Kownacki. Kownacki is kind of a, one of those fighters that he's so similar to Gerald Miller to me. And when you spar somebody that much, as much as they spar, you start to fight like them. Guys start to fight similar, they fight similar. He's gonna just I think he's just a little too powerful and too much pressure, and his gas tank looked pretty decent for Arreola to do anything with him. What do you guys think about that? Is that a good fight, or is it just a stale fight?
It's a stay busy fight.
Yeah.
Does it make you question the fact you said he looks like he's got a good gas tank, and then you also gave his previous?
Yes, it makes me question. I'm gonna tell you, man. Yes, it makes me question PEDs. And as much as I've been around it, and physical fitness and fighting, one of the hardest things for any fighter to conquer mentally is fatigue. It's the hardest. Fatigue is your worst, and it's once you can mentally conquer that, then some people can, And maybe Kownacki is that kind of person, and maybe Ruiz is as well. One of those kind of people I've seen, kind of like, they don't look the part, but they have a way of being able to conquer fatigue mentally. And when you can do that, that puts you in another place. Without you, James Toney was another one. James Toney didn't do a lot of road work. He didn't do a lot of he believed in sparring to get in shape. This is actual facts with James Toney. So he was able to conquer that feeling of fatigue and understanding, how to move his body, not how to conserve energy, and how not to put too much out before you get to that point of fatigue. But now with these fighters, like Jarrell Miller was doing, and Kownacki they keep going forward, even when they have to be dealing with fatigue, And so that's what made me always think Big Baby was on. I always thought that, brothers, I always thought he was on something. That's why he avoided the testing. He was saying, I don't want to get tested because they do this, and trying to make up excuses for it. I hope Kownacki's not, but it is a red flag for me, because there's no way you train together that much with that guy, you don't know about that, what he's taking, and the particular substances they are taking that will make you continue to pass fatigue. And so yeah, I got a question on that, Rob. I hope he's not, but we'll see. because you know.
Anything else, Zulu?
No, sir. That's it, man. Salute to MCR, man. I'm becoming a new Patreon member. Support the show, y'all out there, man. And call in and challenge Matt for the belt. I'm gonna get him next time. I'm back in training.
Undefeated, TBE.
The 10-10, that one. That
was not 10-10. That was a clear 10-8, man. I don't know what you're talking about. And also, Zulu, I know you're listening right now. Hold on right there. Don't hang up. I want you to listen to this right here. Because you said Inoue needs to do what Loma did and move up. You do understand, Zulu, that Lomachenko started at 122 pounds in the pros. He's now at 135 pounds for the weight class, right? That's a difference of what, Rob? 13 pounds. Inoue, guess what, Rob? Started at 105. He's at 118. That's a difference of what? 13 pounds. And actually, at that weight class, it means more because that's a higher percentage of your overall mass. So actually, Inoue has moved up and has proved himself numerous times, and actually is also a 3-weight division champion, as well as Lomachenko. So, just saying. But guys, that's gonna be it. It's been a long one. It's late. It's past midnight. Rob's tired. His hair is falling. Rob is so tired. We've been on that show for so long. His hair is falling out.
I cannot conquer the fatigue.
Yo. For real, Zulu's right though, man. That fatigue is a motherfucker.
Oh, for sure, yeah, no, yeah, I know.
Fatigue makes cowards out of men, and
yeah, that's why I want to go.
But anyways, guys, find me, Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Rob,
UK Rob, MCR, Instagram and Twitter. I was hoping to debut the slick little bit of intro that was.
Oh, we do have a new intro, guys. It's not a new intro song, but it's a new intro clip. And I gotta say, Rob, he outdid himself, guys. You guys are gonna be blown away. We're gonna clip up this show for certain parts, so maybe not you listening right now because you probably listen to the whole show, but other people are gonna see it. So that's awesome. But anyways, if you listen to the show, go listen to other videos we post and hit the like button. Anyways, do that.
Yeah.
Share the show. Share all videos. Go to iTunes on our podcast forum. Drop that 5-star review. Go to Patreon, $1 a month, $12 a year, gets you a ton of shows. On average, it's like 50 to 100 shows a year. Do it. Not that hard. Only $12.
And yeah, if you do go to iTunes, it's very nearly up to date. Matt's got a few more podcasts to catch up on, but hopefully we can stay on top of that. And obviously, you guys that tune in via iTunes or Spotify, they'll be there more.
Yes.
You know, on time and up to date, not out of touch with what actually is happening now in the current climate. All right. So, yeah. But again, thanks everyone for your support. We'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Peace.
You disrespect boxing, you piece of shit?
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Stay off the weed.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?